Hello and welcome to today's Wednesday webinar, Opportunity in Chaos, Leadership Strategies for Directors with Molly Harvey. I'm delighted to have Molly with me today. Molly has presented at my director program in London recently, and it was absolutely superb. She's the only person I know who has presented at the United Nations, and also she coaches Fortune 500 executives. So a very impressive track record, as well as being a leadership book author. I think 8 different books to date, and I'm sure more to come. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Molly and look forward to the session.
We have to be really courageous, I think, right now. Courageous and bold is the words I would use. To let go of the old models in our business or in our lives that maybe might have worked, because we could be frustrated right now because they're not working anymore. And what I'm saying is let them go right now. Let them go and just be more, I would say, open, adaptive, and curious are the 3 words I would use. I'd encourage you, if you're not already, to be more open, adaptive, and curious. And that is to ways of building the business and the new models in your business for the time that's here and the time that's coming. And very often when I work with leaders, one of the first questions I ask them is what I have up here on the slide, and that is, right now in your life and business, are you engaged or exhausted? And I paused after that because a lot of us right now, without realizing it, are exhausted. And we think we get away with it. But I've got news for you, we don't. We absolutely don't. And when I talk about the leaders who are finding opportunity in chaos, they're also the leaders right now that are grounded in the whole of their life, not just in their businesses, in the whole of their life. And they're grounded in what I would say in building that creative mindset, not a competitive mindset right now. It's a creative mindset. And that's all around the habits that they put into their life every day. So that's something I'd ask you after the session today to go away and ask yourself honestly, right now, are you engaged or exhausted? Because there's a lot of exhaustedness out there. And I'd also encourage you to keep away as much as possible from people who have exhausted conversations right now. Why? Because whether we realize it or not, it impacts us and our business and our staff. And it's really, really important for each of us right now to be the leader we want everyone else to be in our business. Starts with us. It comes back to us. We've got to be that leader. So it's a time for leaders to live with courage, vision, imagination, and heart. And the other thing I'd want to add there is, and to stay humble right now, to stay humble. Because right now than ever before, we can see from politics to you name it, where people can see through the bull. Transparency is the new currency in the market. And that causes and calls for you as a leader to step forth like never before. And step forth like never before, and what I would say is build small circles of high trust networks around you. Notice the way I didn't say big circles, I said small circles of high trust networks around you. It's really, really important that we do that at this time. So here's 3 questions to ask yourself right now today in your business. What's working? When you just look at your business, what truly is working? And the second question is, what do you need to stop doing? You see, most of us are really, really good at having to-do lists. And we're really good at being busy. So what? Who cares anymore whether you're busy or not? It's actually more important right now to have a stop doing list than a to-do list. And that's one of the things when, you know, when I work very closely with people that I really, really bring into their culture. And I say, get your people and yourself to have a stop doing list or a let go of list. Why? Because very often we continue to do what doesn't work anymore. And then we're wondering why we're not getting the results that we want to get or that we used to get. But actually we're not getting it because those things are not working anymore in our lives and in our business. And the last question I put up there was, what's the stupidest thing you still do in the business? And you might laugh and you think, why is she asking us that question? Well, I can tell you now, that's the first question that I say to leaders when I go in-house to work with them and their people. I say, go back and ask your team before we next meet up, what is the stupidest thing that we still do in the business? And I can guarantee you, it's amazing how many answers might come back to you. And you might be surprised, especially if you're the CEO of your own business right now, or the director of your own business, you might be surprised. I'm surprised every day in my own business. Because sometimes we don't see those really silly little things that actually we've just got caught up doing out of habit. So there's a practical thing to do. Ask yourself and go and ask your team today, what's the stupidest thing you're still doing in the business? Because sometimes, you know, life and business is about TLT, those tiny little things. And it's like a domino effect. When we stop doing one or two tiny little things, that can have a real bottom line effect on our life and our business. So I'm encouraging you to go away and ask yourself those 3 questions today.
Molly, I've just got a question coming in from David. David's asking, he referred back to your earlier comment about the small circle of high trust individuals, the network. Yeah. Do you have any, he's asking for examples of that. Is there anything you can share with him as to what might be a good way forward?
Okay, the first thing is, when I say trusted, small circles of high trust networks, always surround yourself with people who are on the same level as you or above you, that you aspire your business and your life to be. So they're the type number 1 of high trust networks you want to build. You want to invite those people into maybe small circles. And it might be maybe twice a year, having, you know, meeting for a coffee, twice a year, having a Zoom meeting. And that's one way to build your network. And then the other way of building high trust networks and small circles is look outside your own business and look at people who are not the same as you, but very different. And start to maybe have coffee with or a conversation with people who you think, you know, I could really learn from them. And even though our business is quite diverse, maybe we could do business together in creative ways that I haven't even thought about yet. So that's something that I do in my own, because I'm currently building lots of small circles of high trust networks internationally. And this morning, for instance, I've just actually linked up with another network, and we could be seen as competitive, but actually, no, take out competitive and come in with the creative mindset. And they're the conversations that actually we're having around our business right now. So very much they're going to go into my small circle of high trust networks this morning, because actually we realized, and listen to the words I'm going to use here, that actually we can collaborate, we can co-action, and we can co-create together. So I hope that answers the question, Mike, David's question there. Yeah? Really get creative. Really get creative about who and what you would like those small high trust networks to look like? And into that, I'll bring in another strategy that I teach, Mike, that you've heard me talking about a lot is, David, maybe this afternoon or this evening, get out a journal, get yourself a journal, and put in the middle of the journal the word, on a blank page, the word how. Just how in the middle of the page. And then build a kind of, how can I say, build around the page who you want to be in it and how you're going to set up small high trust networks. And build your circles in the middle of just a simple page, and then put how. How and who do I want to be part of my small circles of high trust networks? And do that this afternoon and just see what will come to you.
Well, I have to say that's brilliant. And that is so simple to then think proactively about who you want in your network rather than just bumping into someone. Very smart.
Absolutely. And right now, it's all about being proactive. So let me come back to the busyness again. You know, drop the busyness out of your diary. You know, when people ring me up and they say, Molly, God, are you so busy? I'm saying, no, I'm not so busy. I'm not so busy. I'm nicely. Because I think about where I'm going and what I'm doing every minute of the day in my business right now. And I have actually written in front of me here, I ask myself many times throughout the day, I ask myself, is this bringing me nearer my goals right now in the business? Is what I'm doing right now bringing me nearer my goals in the business? I don't go out to networking sessions just for the sake of meeting 12,000 people. If I'm going out to a place to build the business, number one, are they my tribe? Know your tribe right now. That is so important. Know your tribe in the business. Number one, are they my tribe? And as a result of spending my time, is this somebody I want? Is there somebody here I could meet that I could fit into the high trust network? So they're the questions, Mike, that goes around it. Okay, moving on. The next slide I'm bringing up here is 7 levels of leadership. And the first thing you might say is, why has Molly Harvey not got work and business at the top? When I first wrote it, I had work and business at the top, and then I decided to change it because I thought if we don't have health and energy as leaders right now at the top, there is no work and business. Look, I've been in business a long time. And I built my first business in 1993. And I would have put work and business up at the top. But then if you're not careful, family and relationships, they suffer. Circle of genius suffers. Circle of genius is, who are those small people right now, circle of people like your high trust network that encourage your goals, that encourage you to be bold and courageous in your business. Be very careful right now who you tell your business to, because you end up telling your business and what you intend to do, and after many of the conversations right now, you'll put it in the bin. So that's why I'm very, very careful who is in my circle of genius. One of the people who's in my circle of genius for many years, which is also a friend of yours, Mike, is Eric Peacock. Sir Eric Peacock. He's one of the wisdom keepers that's in my circle of genius. I know I can go and I can write and I can sit down or I can talk to him and he'd give me honest feedback. And we can have, write down this word if you're listening in on this webinar, we can have fearless conversations. So I want you to, on a scale of 1 to 10, 8, 9, 10 being really good, anything below 5, either dump or do a lot of work on it right now. Pay attention to it. So who's in your circle of genius? Your inner life is that you time. And that you time is, my you time is 5:05 in the morning. I learn when the world is asleep. I know it's my up time. I'm not saying to you, start getting up at 5:05 in the morning if you're not a morning person. I'm saying right now, like never before in these turbulent times, know your up time as a leader and your down time. And get your most productivity out of your business and you work in your uptime. And then you have fun and adventure. Make sure you're having enough time away from the business. And your contribution and legacy, we're going to hear an awful lot about that more as we go into 2020, 2025. That in most businesses right now, especially when we want people to join us along the business, they want to build a legacy. I find these young, they want a social purpose. Have you got a social purpose attached to your business? Or have you got a social purpose in your life right now? Something bigger than you. So they're the whole areas I'm encouraging you to look at. Look at the whole of your life. And the question that comes after that is actually, where right now in your life are you suffering from willful blindness? And I came across that about 12 months ago. It was a lady called Margaret Heffernan. And Margaret Heffernan, she wrote books on it actually, on willful blindness. And you see what willful blindness is we can become so focused and so tunnel visioned on working in our business when actually it's about taking yourself out of your business and looking in. Because when you take yourself out of your business and looking in, and how do you do that? You do that by adding in how time, just that simple exercise earlier on I gave you, or thinking time, putting thinking time into your diary. If you're the director of your own business right now, put thinking time in every day. And step back and thinking to yourself, where am I being blind right now? What am I dismissing in the business? What am I dismissing that I'm just putting off over there, but actually something tells me I should pay attention to it, but I'm not. And then all the circles there is just fill in the circles, get creative. Remember I said it's all about you as a leader right now, developing more than ever in yourself and your people that creative mindset. Because when we develop the creative mindset, what happens? New ideas come. Bold initiatives come, like that we haven't even thought of before. You know, so that's it. It's that willful blindness. Where right now in your business and your life are you being willfully blind? And I'd add another question to that very quickly, and that one is, and this is a tough one that I want you to really spend 48 hours working on, long after this webinar is over, is if you're to be honest right now in your business and your life, where are you halfway in and halfway out? And I asked that tough question to a business owner this morning at 9 o'clock, and the business owner came in and said, my God, Molly Harvey, you've nailed it. I'm only halfway in my business right now. I'm not fully committed. And it was only then I said, well, look at the results you're getting. You're not happy with your results, are you? This is the third quarter in a row. You're not happy with your results. I wonder why. Because if you're halfway in your business, right now, you're not fully committed, or you're distracted. And so ask yourself that question, where in your life and your business right now? You could go back actually to the 7 areas, just the previous this one, and be honest with yourself. It's a real game changer. Where are you halfway in or halfway out in any of these areas in your life right now? And then after asking yourself the question, and if you're to be totally honest with yourself, my next question is to you, what can you do in the next 14 days about that? What in a practical way, and what can you do in the next 14 days to change that? What decisions do you need to make? What actions do you need to take in your life right now as a leader in your own business? So, how do you recognize leaders of the present and the future? Well, number one, they're great networkers who they build learning communities. And I talk about that, learning communities, because that's the future. The future is all about building and sharing expertise, sharing knowledge. Again, I go back to co-creating, collaborating and co-acting together. This is what it's about. They're skilled in the art, highly skilled in the art of interpersonal relationships. And you see, that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to be lacking in talent. And it wasn't me who said that, by the way, it was the head of Cisco. By 2025, when he was interviewed not so long ago, and they said, what do you think is facing the biggest thing in the recruitment? And he said, number one is talent, finding and keeping the right talent. And the second thing we're facing is the interpersonal skills. The lack of interpersonal skills, because we're not, you know, BT made millions years ago from that one advert, it's good to talk. Well, believe it or not, we're not talking enough anymore. We're bypassing. Whereas, you know, we're sending texts or we're emailing or we're doing everything else but talking or face to face. So what I'm saying to you is make sure you are thinking about those small groups of high trust networks, because it's those high trust networks is going to help create and generate and co-create your business and businesses of the future. So the next thing I say is they're highly skilled in the art of timing. And when I say highly skilled in the art of timing, I'll give you an example. Years ago, when something would come up, you could say, I need time to think about it. Let me think about that. Right now, today, in the fast pace that we live in, we have to very often make decisions in our business much quicker. Much quicker. We have to adapt and create in the moment. And it's like shifting sands. And that's where you really, really need to be, own your presence, own your power, and own your medicine as a leader right now. Really, really understanding inside out what you stand for yourself as a leader and what your company stands for. If you do that, you then create everybody in your business will become the CEO of their own jobs and their own life, because it'll come from you as a leader. The next thing I talk about is I say they're intuitive and they're able to perceive complex dynamics in groups. That means that gut instinct, trusting that inner sat-nav, trusting yourself as a leader, being able to cut out the outside noise is really important right now, because there's a lot of noise out there. But you being able to intuitively navigate your business in new ways and new models. And that's where I come back again to talking about being bold. So you're really skilled in the art of questioning, skilled in the art of simplicity. Keep it simple, stupid, you know, don't complicate things. And being really skilled in the art of self-awareness right now. You as a leader, the impact you have on everybody around you, your customers, your staff, everybody. And if you really do that, you'll see the new trends that are coming out of the chaos, because the new trends are coming out every day and every moment right now. Skilled in providing consultation, leadership and guidance for changing paradigms. And that means the paradigms are shifting every day. And the last thing is continuing to work and develop your inner skills. You know, leadership of the past used to be leading from the outside in. Leadership of the present and the future is all about leading from the inside out, and you really showing up who you are as a leader and allowing everyone around you in your life and your own organization to show up around you. That's what it's all about.
Molly, just interject if I may for a second.
Yeah.
I think the power of what you said earlier about leaders are skilled in the art of questioning can be missed sometimes. And I think in recruitment, you know, usually the owner of the business or the manager or director has got good recruitment experience. So therefore, fundamentally, they're a salesperson. They're used to talking a lot. They're used to getting their message across.
Yeah.
They're less used to asking questions of their staff and getting their opinions. So how critical do you think that is? You know, getting the voice of your staff and getting them asking the right questions of your staff. And do you have any examples?
I do, Mike. If I could work 7 days a week right now, that's how critical it is, because it's the whole art of engagement. And leadership right now is about, you know, yeah, that's very, well, hold on. In the past, it's been more of a led, you know, led and telling. That doesn't work anymore. It's about getting into the mindset with your staff of when your staff come to you, that instead of giving them the information, you say, tell me more about that. What do you think? How do you think we could solve that? And it's all in the art of open questions. And what happens is really, really powerful, Mike, because then you begin to empower, not disempower, very different. You begin to empower your staff around you to make decisions and to be more accountable, because part of the future is all about creating cultures of accountability. And if you can create cultures of accountability, your organization is going to really grow like never before. And also in that, as a leader, if I can bring in and say, bring in more fearless conversations into the culture. Find your people doing things right, not wrong. And remember, when you see them doing things right, go back to what I said at the beginning, the TLTs, Mike. And that's all about, as a leader, really, really, really skilling yourself up in the art of questioning. And what it does for you as a leader, I promise at the end of the day, is you'll go home at the end of the day and you'll have much more energy if you actually ask the question and then remember to shut up. And use the pause, just what I've done there. Just remember to pause. So Mike, does that answer the question for you?
Brilliant, Molly, love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And of course, it's funny, you're asking about questions, and here's me. We have another question up right now. What could you do in your business that would be radically different in the last quarter of the year? This is a great question, Mike. Again, this coming back to the staff and getting the staff engaged more is, you know, have a maybe 15-minute session with your staff or with your leaders, because I know, I'm aware that some of the people listening in have huge teams. So, you know, pull your immediate team together. What could you do in your business, in our business right now, that could be radically different for the last quarter of the year? So you see, get a flip chart board or just get a simple whiteboard and just get the people engaged, and then give them no more than 15 minutes to come up with the answers. And then you don't know, you could just get some great new ideas. And then before you finish on that question, say, okay, who's going to do what on that? What are we going to do? And do it in the last quarter of this year. That's what you know, don't talk about it, do it, make it happen. Too often, you see, we say one thing and do another. Outstanding leaders say what they mean and do what they say. And I'm sorry, but I see a lot of that happening out there at the moment. We're still continuing to say one thing but doing another. That's not transparent leadership. Outstanding leaders, what takes somebody from great to outstanding is say what they mean and do what they say. If you know, it's the old saying, under promise, over deliver right now, with your clients, with your staff, with everybody around you. Otherwise, use the pause. So this is from my book, 6 Steps from Outstanding Leadership. And all these, Mike, can I just check, all these handouts will go out to everybody, won't they?
They'll go out as a recording of the session, yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, so you can see, I'm not going to go into it deeply, but with the Seconds Away from Outstanding Leadership book, there's actually 6 behaviors that help you be that leader that we're required to be in these extraordinary times. So I'm not going to go any deeper into it. The model is there. If you need to know any more, come back to Mike, and I can supply more information if you want to, but I just wanted to share with you. It's all about your rituals, it's your daily discipline. It's the essence of your presence. It's how you show up in everything you do right now in the day with your staff and your clients and your own business. It's all about trusting your inner sat-nav, collaborating. We've talked about that all through the session. And focused action. You see, it's not about taking action. It's about taking focused action. And it's about setting the right intentions right now that actually will really take your business through these challenging times. So any more questions, Mike, from anybody?
With no more questions have come in from the audience yet, Molly, but
Okay.
I'd just like to say thank you and to share with the delegates today a strategy I took away from you. I've been running peer-to-peer learning groups for directors of recruitment businesses for well over 10 years now. I've been exposed to thought leaders, from all different parts of business, people who've met Steve Jobs, Nelson Mandela, Jack Welch, and you know who I'm referring to, Molly, Sir Eric Peacock,
Yes.
and absolute luminaries. And I always learn something. And you think I've had a kind of a free education for 10 years, and yet every single time I'm coming away with something. And the key thing that I took away from you, Molly, was the how book. Now, in recent times, to share my learning from Molly's last session, I've been very electronic in recent years. You know, my son called me Gadget Dad because I'm always on gadget. And I've got Evernote and I've got note taking, and I try and keep a bit paperless. And although I do have a notepad for meetings, of course, when I go to a meeting, what Molly taught me was have a meeting for a notepad for meetings, keep that separate, and have a separate book called a how book. How do I improve X? How do I improve Y? How do I improve Z? How do I get funding for my new business? Whatever it is for you. And I've just found that a breath of fresh air, Molly, because I used to have it in amongst other meeting notes. And as simple as it sounds, to have it separate and to then build upon my thinking, if I'm on a train or if I'm at I've got a spare 10 minutes, it's right there in front of me. And there's something about putting pen to paper to capture those ideas that's different about being electronic. So
there is, Mike,
really powerful.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, and I love the way you said, this is where you have your little how journal with you. Use it on the train going home. Use it on an aeroplane. Use it anywhere, And it's amazing because it's all in one journal, and it's so simple. But again, it gets you really, really creative.
We did have something coming in from the chat, but it wasn't a question. It was just from Marie saying, "This has been amazing, Molly Harvey. Thank you." So really nice way to end the session.
You.
So unless we have any other questions, I think we're ready to close off. We've kept it well on track, so well done for that, Molly, also, because time is valuable for everyone. Really appreciate your insight. Once again, I've taken away some things I can use, and I'm sure everybody else has who has joined the session today. So thank you once again.